Disclaimer, I love animals and I am a dog mom of 2 and I would never harm another animal. My cousin and I got into my grandma's fish tank and got out her little tiny fish and put them on our kitchen playset and act like we were sauteing them.
Well, so when I was younger, I used to be a Boy Scout, and one time we had a public event for like a pumpkin carving thing. So I went there and I had my nice little child-safe knife that my mom gave me because she was very protective of me at the time. And I finished my jack-o'-lantern, right? But then I had the grand idea of making it into like a hat or like a helmet so I could put it on my head. And there was this little girl that was sitting next to me and she had this giant knife, like this big, of just the blade. So I asked her if we could trade knives because I was like, I'll be the hero, I'll save this little girl, you know, no big deal. And I take the knife and I try to cut right into the pumpkin, but it got stuck in the rind. My hand slid right down the blade and I had to go to the hospital. And every day after that, my mom never let me forget about 1, how I definitely needed the child-safe knife, and 2, about how I probably shouldn't be wearing pumpkins on my head.
Okay, so when I was about 10 years old, we were at the TCBY here in Westminster and my stomach was hurting, so I was going out to the car. Well, when I walked out to our black Astra van, there was a man in the driver's seat trying to steal it. And I asked him to get out of our car, please. That is not your car. Can you please get out? So he did, and went in. I told my mom someone just tried to steal our car. And then she didn't believe me, so I brought her out and we looked over to the old Super Fresh. And there he was trying to get into other people's cars. So we called the cops and we went over to the Super Fresh parking lot and we ID'd him.
Okay, so I was 2 years old. My mom reminds me of the story all the time. We went to a cookout, and everybody's having a couple beers at the cookout, right? You sit down the empty can, there's always a little bit left. 2-year-old Holly decided to walk around and finish off all the empty beer cans until she was stumbling drunk. She passed out on the way home, and that was the end of the story.
My mom used to say when I would play out in the sandbox, I would always take a comb with me and I would sit it on the ledge of the sandbox. And so then when a puff of wind would go by, I would stop and comb my hair and then go back to playing.
So I grew up in a row home and our stairs were in a long hallway. And me and my sister and my brother would close the door at the bottom of the hallway and throw all of our pillows and stuffed animals at the bottom, and we would dare each other to jump from the steps into the pile of stuffed animals. So we'd start at 1 and I think I got up to maybe the 11th stair and I felt like I was really high and I needed to jump really high to get down to the bottom, and I banged my head on the ceiling and bit my chin and lost my 2 front teeth. So after that, every time I had a loose tooth, my dad would say something along the lines of, why don't you go headbutt a wall to lose it?
Alright, so my funny story is my family, we were on vacation up in Montreal and we went on this hike, and it was about a 2-hour hike, but I was 7 years old, so by the time we got almost down the mountain, we were able to see the parking lot from about 200 feet up, and I was so done. I was just like, why don't we just roll down the rest of the way? And my family thought that was really funny. So now whenever we go somewhere where there's a drop, they always say, hey, why don't we roll down, Kiva, you know? Like if we go to Empire State Building, they'll be like, you see this? We can just roll down, you know?
When I was young, my aunt lived 2 doors down, and my mom went to see her one night after she put me to bed, and I woke up and couldn't find her, and I called 911 and the operator and told them I lived in a little green house on March Lane, and the police and the fire trucks came, and my mother was mortified.
I ate a bumblebee the day before our family pictures.
When we used to bake as a family, I used to sit on the side of my sassy seat and I used to eat raw flour.
Okay, something as a child that people still remind me of and I still laugh about, and I hear it probably every family event that we get together. When I was little, my cousin was taking care of me as a babysitter, and I was playing in a sandbox. I believe I was about 2 or 3, and I got a pebble stuck up my nose, and she had to take me to the emergency room. So I still get teased about the pebble up my nose. So that's what I remember.